What's up, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Martavius Young, and beside me is my beautiful wife,
Carrie Young.
And tonight we're going to be talking about the most romantic part of marriage. And no, guys, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about spiritual intimacy. So stay tuned and let's have a conversation about it. Ooh, I couldn't wait to share this one. Any moment, he would take you from waiting on it to walking in it.
Love you, babe. Love you, girl.
Happy anniversary. Cheers to no more surprise babies. Regardless of what you're going through, it won't last forever. Our marriage is goals because you don't just fall into goals, you work for it. You build. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. You want to kick this off?
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead and start. Baby.
Okay, so we are on chapter 5 tonight, and chapter 5 is called Praying for Spiritual Intimacy. So last week was praying for emotional intimacy, and this week is spiritual intimacy. And I love this. I actually underlined a whole bunch of stuff in this chapter, but I like this part. It says, if you want to be truly intimate with someone, get to know their soul.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I literally underlined that. And what I wrote when I underlined it was, I put example of Karen when she was in the hospital and what she was going through. Like we talk about marriage vows and we talk about for better or for worse, for sick or in great health. And that was at that point in our marriage journey where physically she was going through some things that was, I told some guys last night, it was hard for me to sit by her side and not be able to do anything. So the greatest thing that I could be for her was just a spiritual partner, be there for her, pray for her, hold her hand and let her know these things are going to be okay. And because she went through what she went through, like I think spiritually, like that brought us together so much closer than anything could have. And that was probably one of the worst times or worst experiences that we've experienced so far. But for me, during that time, a lot of people reached out and even after that and just asked me how I was able to stay so strong or how she was able to have so much faith, because we pretty much put everything on social media. So we wanted people to see what was going on behind the scenes in our life, not for attention, but to show people the reason that, you know, we speak about faith, the reason that we speak about our trust and belief in God is because, like, it doesn't matter if things are good that you have faith. Like, it's these times that, you know, your faith is really going to be stretched and it's really going to show, like, whether you believe the things that you're saying. And that was what we wanted to show people, like, hey, when we talk about God and some of the things that we go through, this is a part of that journey. So just because things get hard, we aren't going to say, like, we don't believe or we don't have faith. Like, we're going to press together. We're going to show people you can go through things. And when you've just been, like, for us being consistent in our faith life and just like impacting so many people, the amount of people that came around and rallied around us and just prayed for us and just reached out and showed so much love and support for me was just an understanding of, like, the work that you're doing behind the scenes that nobody can see. That's when that work just came to the forefront, and it showed us, like, the times and the years that we was investing in our marriage, investing in our spiritual life. And when she went through that, now it's time for this thing to come out. And like I was saying before, like, this is going to testify for you. Our faith came out and defended us. These people have been doing the work behind the scenes. They've been building these communities and speaking life and to and over people. And now it's time for those people to do it for them. Now it's time for their faith to arise, for their faith to increase and expand in their belief in God. And, like, literally it showed up. And so for me, like when I talk about spiritual intimacy, like, my wife still on her deathbed, y'all. She was like, how much do you love me? And I was like, you just, as a listen, you cannot escape that question, like, as a guy. Like, that question is, I was like, literally, you about to die. You talking about, how much do I love you? Girl, I'm sitting right here beside you, like, I'm wiping your tail, I'm doing all these, like, how much do I love you?
Stop, you're so funny.
But at the same time, like, for me, that was just a sign of, like, that spiritual growth and that spiritual maturity and, like, the bond that we created because of those hard times. Like, not physical, not sexual, but, like, spiritually. So when he talks about spiritual intimacy, like, we can, like, almost testify to, like, that is a real thing that brings you closer than anything else could, because you go through something like that with somebody and you come out on the other side, like, you look back and laugh about it. You look back and sometimes shed tears about it. But like, the fact that you went through it and got through it with that person, like that bond that you build, like that's something that's gonna like build your marriage forever. And I talked about before, the guy that I randomly met while getting our Jeep serviced, one of the best pieces of advice that he gave me, he said, build history together. And so for me, like, we was building history together. So when we go through things, no matter how big, how small, like when we look back at what she went through and how it brought us closer together in such a way, like that's history that we can look back and say, look, God was with us through that, and he got us through that. Like nothing can stop what he can do in our life if we just stay aligned with each other, stay spiritually, continue to grow and mature closer to each other. Like nothing can tear us apart. Things are gonna try, not saying that, but as long as we continue to do the work behind the scenes, we have to understand like our faith is gonna continue to arise and grow to a level that's only gonna draw us closer together.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go preaching. But
but I feel like that was a really good example. And it actually reminded me of, you can't go to work in the hard times.
Yes, it's too late.
It's too late. Like, it's like you're in survival. Like at that moment, like I was in like literally fighting for my life, like in survival mode. We couldn't work on our marriage in that moment. Like it just, that wasn't a thing. And so I think everybody in their life goes through mountaintops and valleys, and life is like this, you don't know. Right. And so when you are on the mountaintop or when you feel good, you need to be working on your marriage, because when that valley hits or that next storm hits, you need to go to work, because we had read so many books. We had done marriage events. We've done marriage groups. We've read through this with multiple couples.
We had terrible conversations that also brought us together spiritually, because who knows, that makeup is real, y'all. Like, I had to just throw that in there. But because we also went through some of those times, like, it was like we couldn't question anything else, because we was able to work through some things like that, and that brought us together as well. So even those things were like, I think, prepared us in the time too, because like I said, when she was like, do you love me? And it was like, you know what? I keep going back to that, but like that was a real thing, y'all.
I know. That's why I'm laughing. That's so funny.
I remember it. But that was a real thing as well. So some people, they go through things and, they don't have those tough conversations. They don't like actually talk about these things. So when life really do hit them, all of a sudden, like, you looking and you're questioning each other, and you should be like coming together and fighting for each other, and now you're just fighting against each other. So for me, it's like you can't allow the enemy to have any type of wedge between you and your spouse, because like I said, when the storms of life come, you're either going to draw closer to each other, or you're going to draw apart and try to fight by yourself, or thinking that you can do everything in your own strength, when you really can't. You really do need your spouse in those times, because like I said before, like that's going to allow y'all to build history together with each other. And while you're doing that, you're building that foundation, not just for you guys, but for your kids as well, because our kids watched and saw everything that we went through. And so they saw our faith in the amount of times we talk about, God, and talk about going to church, and why we go to church, and why we believe in all these things. So when they saw mom go through that, like, now they understand that. Now they got a picture of what faith looks like in action, because it happened to the woman that they love more than I do sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Okay, I also think there might be people on here in this group who, don't even know where to start, or they're in the beginning, and like, I just want to encourage you that you just have to start. Like, if you don't have that foundation, like, that's what we would love to help you do. You know, like, that's why we're doing this, is just you're here, you're starting because you're starting to invest in your marriage. It kind of reminds me of, like, let's say that your marriage is like an empty cup when you first get married, because you have a brand new cup and now you share the cup. So what are you putting in your cup, and are you even filling it? Because let's say something happens, well, you got to take some of that cup and you got to dump it out. But if you have nothing that you put into that, you're going to have an empty cup, and probably an unhappy wife, and an unhappy husband, and probably an unfulfilled marriage. And so you definitely need to just start. And so that's why I was like, I do recommend getting this book. I can't say this enough. I know I always say it, because we have done it 5 times, and it's not the book, it's going through the book with your significant other.
And also, just going back to like what my wife's talking about, just think about, like, a lot of people nowadays are doing fixer-uppers. And that's how most people come in marriages. Like, we're fixer-uppers. Like, we come in with so much baggage. And the thing about that, most of the people outside looking in, somebody who really don't have the mindset to understand, like, this house has potential. they're not willing to go to work tearing down things so they can fix it up the way that they want to. But like she said, when you don't know what to do, but you know you want to do something, now your mindset starts seeing the potential of what this could be. So now you start going to work, and this is part of going to work. This is part of like doing that fixer up or tearing down things and building it up in a healthy way so that you can get that foundation right. So when we talk about these things, you have to understand, like, doing the work doesn't mean that you're perfect. Doing the work doesn't mean that you have to build on what you have. You can unlearn whatever you think is like hindering you and your spouse. Like me, I brought so much baggage to our relationship that I didn't know I was carrying. But when I decided to go to work on myself and just get around amazing guys in these healthy environments, I was able to like grow through some of the things that, you know, I was struggling with, and I was able to tear down some of these things so that I can build the foundation. Because you yourself, if your foundation isn't solid, then nothing else can stand on it. So for me, understanding if what I'm bringing to the table, like, I have to make sure that I'm right within myself.
Yeah.
If I can't lead myself, I can't lead my spouse, I can't lead our kids. So I had to go to work on myself, and us coming together, like our marriage was like that fixer upper. Like, we start tearing down things that wasn't benefiting our marriage, wasn't benefiting us raising kids and being parents together. So we have to understand, like, our marriage still has potential. This can still be something of value, but we have to go to work and do our part brick by brick and just making this thing out to what we want it to be. So for me, when you look at your marriage and what you want it to be, think of it as a fixer-upper, because that's what it is. How do you want this to look in the long run? Understand it. If you want it to be perfect, not perfect, but if you want it to look a certain type of way or just have family values, then you have to go to work and you have to build and make these things happen. And the thing about doing this is, like, you have to pay a price. Like, you have to invest in it. I tell people all the time, your marriage is an investment. If you want it to like reap the fruit and see and have what other people have, then you have to go to work and do what they've been doing. So for me, just coming with that mindset, understand it doesn't matter where you are, it's where do you want to go and what are you going to start doing to get you there? What are you going to start doing to take you there? What are you going to start filling your cup with? Not telling your spouse, you need to change, you need to do that.
Yes.
What are you filling your cup with? And when you start doing that, you're going to notice the overflow. That overflow is going to be poured into your spouse. I talked to some guys last night, and I was telling them, like, my wife was the reason that I am the person I am today, because she caught on fire for the Lord. She caught on fire for business, for leadership. She caught on fire with the vision of what she wanted, and she went to work on these things, and I start seeing that fire, and I was like, man, it starts sparkling onto me. So all of a sudden, like, I'm feeling this, and I'm like, man, I want what she have. So I was like, you know what, when she decided to, like, you know what, first time mom, like, she's like stressed out, going crazy with our son Riley, like, she was like, I'm gonna retire you from your job. And I was like, all right, I hear you, but like, this is a real life out here. And when she went to work to do it, it let me know that it doesn't matter what society tell you life have to be. If you decide that you want something and you go to work, you can make it happen. And that's when my mindset shifted. I knew what I wanted to be as a husband. I knew what I wanted to be as a father. And the fact that my wife literally not only told me what she wanted, but actually went to work and backed up her words with action and made it happen, that's when I decided, if you want to be something in this world, back it up with action.
Yes.
Take the steps, do the things that's necessary, cut people off, move people out of your circle. You married and you got friends who aren't married and they always want to go out to bars and clubs and do these type of things. Cut these people out. They aren't good for your marriage.
Amen.
That's not what married people do. If you love to do that, that's fine with you, but get around people who have what you want to have. Get around people where you feel comfortable sitting down with other couples all together and having a healthy conversation. If you feel like women shouldn't be in the room when you're having conversations with your homeboy, then that's probably not the person that you should be hanging around. You should be able to have open conversations because you know it's healthy and you know it's going to build your marriage in some type of way. It's going to build you as a man in some type of way. So for me, it's about being in healthy environments around people who's going to allow you to grow and become everything that you want to be, and who's also in alignment with the values and the principles that you have. And that's just something I believe in, and I try to keep mine, because I know the foundation that I'm building on, it has to be solid, because if it isn't, then anything can slip in and take your attention and have you straying away doing certain type of things when that doesn't line up with who I want to be. So I know we have to be intentional with our marriage. We always say, if you aren't working on your marriage, then by default you're working on your divorce. If you aren't growing together, then by default you're growing apart, and we don't want that. So we want to be purposeful and intentional with our marriage and the things that we're doing to invest and grow our marriage, and also investing in other people, showing them, like I said, if you want something, all you have to do is decide, is it worth paying that price? And if it is, go to work and pay that price, because the end is going to be well worth it.
Yeah, that actually just reminded me what you were talking about. I feel like there's probably people on here or going to be watching, and you feel like your spouse isn't maybe carrying their weight, or that maybe they're not as close to God, or they're lacking in your marriage or whatever. I'm just saying that I think that can happen, and that you just continue your path, continuing to grow and and also pray for them.
Yep.
And like you said, like if you're on fire, they're gonna watch you burn. No, but they're gonna be, if you're just so excited and you just have like a light, they're gonna want that.
Can't resist it.
Yeah. And
It's
so like imagine like in your head, like, do you have somebody in mind that you're like, wow, they're just a light? Or a couple that you're like, oh my gosh, like I want that. Okay, well, you could be that for your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you have to lead. Somebody has to lead, somebody has to start. And so, like I said, you just have to start.
Yeah, and I think that just goes with what I see right here. It said, like, if we would seek God, honor God, and serve Him, then He would be our God. He would guide us as a couple and give us one heart. Your spouse doesn't believe, it doesn't matter right now. If you would seek Him, serve Him, follow Him, do what He's commanding you to do, honor Him, then He's going to continue to guide you. He's going to continue to guide your husband, and He's going to lead you guys together where you're on that path. And eventually, like I said, it's going to rub off. Like at some point in time, your cup is going to overflow.
Yes.
And once your cup's starting to overflow, like it's going to go to the people close to you, your spouse or your kids or whoever else is in your circle. So for me, it's about doing your part and understanding that you can't change someone, but you can continue to inspire them with your action and what you're doing in your daily walk.
Yeah. So I love that part. It says He would guide us as a couple. That's one of the prayers that he talks a lot about in this chapter is, would you give us one heart? And so it's like when two become one. And so you're basically asking God to give you and your significant other one heart. I love that.
I love that too. And
you go right.
No, I just God, I'm just bride. I'm piggybacking tonight.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
she's
good.
saying some
It's
stuff,
actually really good.
And it's just going to like next page. It says spiritual intimacy is the highest form of relational connection, and it is the most difficult to develop. And when you said that, I just thought about just a couple of days ago when I was going through something, and my wife felt that, and she brought it to my attention. And she was just telling me, and I was like, yeah, I'm going through this and this and this. And we had a conversation about it. But the fact that she picked that up, like that didn't happen by accident. That just happened by her knowing who I am, knowing my habits, knowing things like spiritually, like that relational connection that we had because we've been doing the work for so long. She was able to pick up something without me even, like I didn't think to even say anything about it. I just decided like I'm tired of doing this and I'm just do this. And she was like, babe, I'm start like this is happening right now. Is everything okay? And I was like, oh, not really. Like this is like not working. And I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do this and I'm just.
He couldn't figure out how I knew. I was like, oh, well, I know because you stopped this.
Yeah, it was like and it just goes back to like that's that relational connection that you have with your spouse because you've been doing the work. She understands what I've been trying to do over the years. She understands what I'm trying to do in this season because we communicate and we have that connection because we've been doing the work and developing that. She was able to pick up something, and when she picked it up, think about a GPS. You put your GPS and it's taking you to a destination. All of a sudden there's a car wreck up ahead. What does that GPS tell you to do? Stop and turn around? It say no, here's another route.
Yeah.
That's that connection that we had. Babe, what's going on? This and this and this. Okay, did you think about this? That's that GPS coming in. Hey, here's another route. Because me, I just stopped and went back like I just didn't want to do anything. And she was like, no, try this or try that. And I was like, okay. And I got back into the pace that I wanted to be in. So for me, like I thought about her in that situation as like being that God sent for me because I needed her. And like I said, it wasn't by accident. This has been years in the making of us just going to work, us just going to work on ourselves, us going to work on our marriage. And by doing that, when the times come, like God know how to keep you guys in alignment with each other. He know how to guide you. He know how to give you that connection to understand like, hey, babe, I feel like something is wrong. And then to have a healthy conversation about that and help each other move forward. So I just had to say that because that was just something that happened recently. And I was happy that my wife did that for me. And like I said, that's not accident. That's effort. It's not just love either. That's commitment to each other. Yeah. That's willingness to see from that person's point of view and not go out and be able to give them grace. Not scorn them, not say, but you need to be doing this, you need to be doing like, no, hey, babe, I see this is happening. Do you want to talk about it? Yeah. And for me, like I appreciated that more than anything else. So thanks, babe.
That's so sweet.
I told you before, I really did appreciate that. I needed it, y'all, and she delivered for me. So I just had to like give her kudos for that. And like I said, it wasn't accident. It was by us just developing these things together.
You know, my love language is words
Words
of
of
affirmation.
affirmation.
I could sit here and listen all day.
I know.
Okay.
This conversation is working.
Yeah, it is actually.
fire.
It is really good. I was like,
Listen.
we've been backing up each other.
Listen,
This
we
is
talking
good.
to each other.
Okay.
Listen, what that offering plate, we can pass it around to each other.
Okay.
I'll put something in that plate for you, girl.
Oh, you're so funny. Okay, this next part, I love this. It says, ask God to give you a specific verse of scripture to pray for your marriage. And I just underlined specific verse because God, would you give us one heart? That was a verse that was given to the couple who wrote this book. And I was like, ask God for a specific verse for your marriage because everybody's marriage is different and everybody's assignments are different. And so I was like, ooh, that's so good because I want a verse where, I want that to be specifically something for us that we know that he wants us to pray or, so that we can walk in that.
That's good. I love this part. It says, when you are committed to each other and will love each other no matter what, you create a fertile soil of trust which is true spiritual intimacy grows. You share spiritual struggles, victories, and vision. You encourage each other in your respective spiritual efforts. You pray for and support each other, and you become teammates, not competitors. And I love that more than anything because I think most people in marriages, they're competing with each other. They want to reach that goal. They say, which is not a bad thing because we play pickleball, y'all, and she thinks she deserve a break because she my wife. And it's like, no, you gonna.
I've only won one.
Oh, you gonna get them steps in today.
Stop. And I'm really competitive.
We are competitive. But this isn't talking about like sports and things like this. This is just marriage, not trying to one up each other in marriage. Understand, at the end of the day, you're on the same team. I always say it's not me versus her, it's us versus everything coming against us. So this isn't talk about like going out and playing games and doing things like that. This is more on a spiritual level and understanding like when it comes to the spiritual realm, you have to have each other's back. You have to be teammates because at the end of the day, when God talks about equip yourself with the full armor of God, when you think about that, the only place that you're unprotected is your back. And that's when your spouse comes into play. Because when you stand back to back, now you're fully covered. Now you see his schemes. Now you see his wiles from all angles. So for me, when I understand that verse and put it in that perspective, I understand I'm going to cover myself and see everything up here. And I know I got a spouse behind me that's willing and dedicated to have my back. And I have her back. And everything that's coming against us, we can point it out and we can see it within each other. So when you think about that verse and you just get a different perspective on that, like literally your spouse is there to have your back. Don't face her because if you do, now every time something is coming, you just see her. Like now every time you have an argument or something goes wrong at work, now you blaming her. But when you're standing back to back and something goes wrong, she see these things. Now she can call it out. Babe, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
She's not stressing you out. She's not doing anything. Do you want to have a conversation about it? And you get to decide from there. That's either male or female. It doesn't matter about the gender. It just matters about the person and just the principle of it. So I just love that verse and understanding like you become teammates and not competitors.
You know what's so crazy? That's the only thing I underlined.
yeah.
That's the only thing I underlined on
I
that
was about
page.
to say, girl, you read that page?
No.
I saw that. I was like, we in alignment.
I literally said, I said yes.
Listen, I be.
The team, I know, and I don't.
Listen, my mind just be going we see things differently, and that is perfectly okay because at the end of the day, we're getting the same wisdom and knowledge because we have conversation and share with each other. So we're not competitors. We're not competing who knows or underlines the most. It's like, how can we pour in each other's cup? Because at the end of the day, our wells go down deep, and we're going to continue to add to each other. So,
that's so good. Okay, one thing that I liked is it says use Priscilla and Aquila. Jeez, are we...
Listen, I was thinking about it, y'all. When I got stuck, it was because I was trying to come up with a message. I was just trying to come up with a video. If you guys see like my socials, I've been doing these day in the life, and those things take time to edit, and they are hard. And I was telling my wife I did a video, like I don't always feel inspired to do a message. And the one thing that kept coming up was that's when around the time my wife talked about starting this Facebook group was Priscilla and Aquila. And that's like that. And I just went and started reading about that story in the Bible and just hearing about who they are. Like as a couple, this who you should aspire to be. Because it says both of them was respected by everyone. Everybody loved them. And they was both learned. They was both like just literally in the word. They were just such a powerful couple because like I said, when you think about the Bible, they never mentioned women's name first. But this is the couple that they do that because she was as respected that he was, not because she was as perfect or none of these things. It's because they just both had a fear and a reverence for God. And that's why I love that couple so much. And like when I heard that and you said start this group, I was like, get that group set up, girl. I was like, do these things. We gonna do this, girl. And it was just coming from me, just like it was like the third time that I heard it. And I believe you hear something 3 times, God is confirming it. And so when I heard
I
that,
didn't know that.
yeah, good. That's what I was struggling because I was trying to come up with something on my own, and God kept like Priscilla, he kept telling me these things.
That is so
And-
crazy because I underlined this and I said, geez, that's our verse.
Listen,
We didn't talk or discuss any of this.
yeah.
We read it separately and then we discuss it on the video because we're like, oh, maybe this could help somebody else. So I was going to ask you, what do you think our
Yeah.
verse should be? But then I saw,
That's
I was like,
why
geez, I want to be like them.
That's when I was struggling. I was like, and you said start this group. I was like, all right, God, you ain't got to tell me twice. Get this thing started. So, and the thing about them is like, they had a community of believers that they was feeding, like spiritually. They was pouring into these people. And even, I forget which guy it was, which disciple. They was like, he was well learned. He knew everything. And they was able to bring him in together and also equip him and train him up in the word as well. So that was one couple Apollos. Yeah. And they were just like, he was on fire for the Lord and they lit his fire even more. So think about that. Like, that's what I want us to be. People come to us and like, we light their fire even more. Like, yes, you have all of these things. Yes, you're successful. Yes, all of these things, but we can still add so much value to you, not because we're perfect. It's because we are doing the work behind the scenes. We are literally equipping people, building the community, doing the things that we know God has called us to do. Because thinking about who they are and the way that they talk about them in the Bible, you would think they would be the disciples or something. How like they are like people respect them so much, but they're not. They're playing their part. They're staying in their lane, doing what they feel like God is calling them to do. And because they are, we see their name mentioned in the Bible several times because of that. So that was just a confirmation to me that when my wife,
was confirmation for me.
yeah,
so
like
that's crazy.
when I was struggling, like that was
That's
like
so
that was
crazy.
almost like God's been like, no, this is the lane that you need to be in.
Wow.
Don't get outside of that lane. And that's when we like that's for us marriage. Like that's what we supposed to be talking about. So everything else I put to the side burner, and I was like, we need to get this started, and we're gonna really get serious about building out the community around marriage and really being a light for people. You can talk about these things, but let your words back it up. So like I said, when I got that confirmation, and then my wife was like, let's start the group, and she noticed something wrong, and we had a conversation about me telling her
And
this.
it randomly came to me.
Yeah, and I was like, this isn't working. You want to start a Facebook group? Let's start that Facebook group.
I didn't know. It just came from. I was right
just
after my devotional. I was
confirmation,
like, hey, I just had this idea.
I just had to throw that in there because
Yeah.
I didn't tell her about these things. 'Cause
I didn't. I had
knew
no-
we was gonna have a conversation about it on here.
I
So
didn't know
I like the
anything.
element of surprise sometimes.
I like surprises.
It don't have to always be roses. I mean, it works, but things like this work too.
Oh, I'm kind of shocked right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, that's so crazy. That's kind of exciting.
I'm just excited that you brought them up and not me.
I just felt like
I
when
know.
you get like a little jump
Yeah.
or something like spark. I was like, wow, that sounds like us.
Yeah.
It was and I was gonna say that to you, but then I think we were getting the kids ready for bed, and then we don't normally talk about it because we try to save it for this. So I'm just like, that's crazy.
That's why I love that. It says Paul had a great respect for both of them as Christ followers. It tells us that they both was very spiritually mature.
Wow.
And that's, as a married couple, that's what you want people to say about you. You are very spiritually mature. Everything else, it's amazing. It's great. But for somebody to say that you're spiritually mature, that is the compliment above all compliments, in my opinion. So that's what I want us to be.
Well, one of my things that I want us to be too is but I like that. Pray that your marriage will impact others. You know, because you can like say all these things, but it's like I want to actually like impact them, like something where this is so crazy. So I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but somebody messaged me and I had been recommending this devotional that I've been going through. And she was like, I just thought you were crazy. Like you were blowing smoke, like just blah, blah, blah. And she said she got the devotional and just crazy things started happening to her. And she said, I just cannot believe this. She said, I will buy anything you recommend from now on. Just tell me what to do. And I told her to join the group. I mean, it was just so crazy. So it's like, that was, and it's crazy. And I sent it to her and she said, you could have not have sent me. She didn't know about this marriage group. She said, you couldn't have sent that to me at a better time because me and my husband are really going through it. So it was just I was like, that's the type of
Yeah,
impact.
that you want.
And not everybody's gonna see that. Like, this is some stuff that I like in your inbox that happens. You're like, oh my gosh, like you helped one person. Because like I know that other couples that I can specifically think of that they impacted our marriage.
Yeah.
And I would like to be a light for other marriages, because even growing up, I remember some other marriages when I was younger, like being specifically a light. Like, so as a teenager, I had something to look up to, like, oh my gosh, I want a marriage like that, And so I think if more people could be that, well, then we could change something, right?
Yeah.
If you can light up enough marriages, then, maybe that could eventually help our children. Like,
Right.
you just never know.
Right, because some of y'all are raising our future
Maybe
kid-in-law,
we don't know.
so y'all better be on y'all P's and Q's, because let me tell you now.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them guys that be like, listen, you ain't gonna get married. No, our girl's gonna get married one day to an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Our boy's gonna get married one day to an amazing woman. So we doing this for y'all. So y'all better get it together, because if we just happen to be in-laws, then I'm gonna need you to want to act right on the
Step
vacation.
up so that your
want
kids have an
to,
example.
to like visit and go on vacation with us. So
Yeah.
you need to get your act together. I'm just planting that seed right now, because we praying for y'all. I don't know who it is, but we praying for you.
That's so good.
I just had to throw that out there.
No, that's really exciting though. I'm excited.
Yeah. Listen, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it.
No,
Listen.
but also going back, we put on our dream board, I think 5 years ago, that we wanted to do something with marriage. Actually, as soon as we got married, within 2 years, we were already like really excited about marriage. And we were like, we knew that this was the like, it wasn't just something that, this was something that we knew we were supposed to be in.
It wasn't like honeymoon and go vacationing and go, it was like building our marriage. Like, we went through a couple, like we went through this book.
Yeah, we did.
With another couple, and we was like, we want to do this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we want to travel and just go to all these, even though she wanted to do those things.
I was like, wait a second, what are you talking about?
She wanted to do all those things.
I wanted...
Still want to do it. I love to do it too, but she's not talking about in that sense about marriage. She was talking about actually, like, when she says she want to impact marriage, it's like that's what she means. She wants to really help build other people, help them build their marriage out the way that they want to, and possibly, if we become friends, go on vacations together. So
we like.
You can't have the best of both worlds.
Yes,
I mean, I just said you can have the best of both worlds. Yes.
Yes. So that's what I was saying. On our dream board, we started putting that we want to eventually do like marriage retreats. I mean, this was like 5 years ago that we had, and we kind of forgot about it. Like, we didn't forget about it. We just stayed in our lane, did what we needed to do, and then all of a sudden, this just recently came up. I was like, oh well, let's jump back into like what we really like. I feel like we were called to do this, so like, but it's just great that we did put stuff like this on our dream board. So I don't know, I'm excited to see where this is gonna lead.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be I think it's just a tool, it's a resource, and like I said, we just want to build out that community where people can come and feel like they can share what they're going through, and don't have people talking about them, don't have people sharing their information outside of this group, because what's in this group is private for a reason, because we want you to understand, like, this is a healthy environment. There's no weeds growing in this group. Everything here is going to help you grow and become everything that you want, and we do that intentionally. That's why my wife put the questions like, are you married? How long have you been married? Because we want you guys' advice as well. We're not getting on here as experts. We getting on here because we love to share.
Yeah.
We getting on here because we want to build that community.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason that we're doing it. So there's a lot of other guys I've talked to say they want to get on and just give input and help out any way they can. So you're going to be seeing other people get on and add value to you guys as well. It's not just about us getting on and sharing with you guys. There's so many amazing couples that's been doing the work behind the scenes. They just didn't have the environment or the platform to do it. So for us, it was just building that platform. It's giving you guys the stage to get on and share how your marriage have been growing, or how like somebody else has impacted your marriage and what you've learned and what you want to share. So for us, it's about just having the community, having the stage for you guys to get on, to shine and share, and that we can just continue to inspire each other to grow in our marriage. So a lot of you guys have more wisdom than you think you do. You just have to be willing to share it, and it can be little or small. What's little to you will be huge for somebody else in their marriage. So you never know what someone is going through, and you may be carrying a breakthrough for them. So don't hold back from sharing just because you think it may be too little. It really doesn't matter. You never know how it will impact somebody else in their marriage.
If you have never prayed with your spouse, I feel like we were there at one point, and there tells you how to pray. It gives you a prayer at the end, so you don't have to be like, oh, I know everything. No, it's like, this is a guidebook and it tells you. So if you feel like nervous, like, it's okay. So that's why I like this book. I feel like it's for beginners, but it's also for everyone, because it doesn't matter where your walk is. It's just like, it's a great
just
guidebook.
get in and start where you are.
Yeah.
It just keeps it simple, and the simple things done right over time is just going to lead to amazing results. So that's what it's all about, doing the simple things all the time. And when you do that, you're building your faith and your consistency and everything else.
So that is it for tonight, and we will see you next week with chapter 6.
Thank you guys for watching.